In a major geopolitical moment that could reshape the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, US President Donald Trump has given his endorsement to the AUKUS Pact, the trilateral security alliance between the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. Standing alongside Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at the White House, Trump not only reaffirmed America's commitment to the deal, but also announced a multi-billion-dollar minerals partnership between Washington and Canberra. Yet beneath the praise and political smiles, subtle hints of tension emerged, especially as US Navy Secretary John Phelan suggested that America might soon seek to clarify some ambiguities in the nuclear submarine agreement. The meeting between Donald Trump and Anthony Albanese was one of the most anticipated diplomatic encounters of the year. It took place on a Monday morning in Washington, with the Australian leader seated between Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance in the White House Cabinet Room. The atmosphere was both formal and familiar. It marked the first official bilateral meeting between the two leaders since Trump returned to office, following months of phone diplomacy and discussions about defense cooperation, trade, and the future of the Indo-Pacific Alliance network. The meeting was attended by senior officials, including US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, War Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Australian Ministers Tim Ayres and Madeleine King. Also present was Australia's ambassador to Washington, Kevin Rudd, whose prior criticisms of Trump came up in a brief but awkward exchange. Trump, smiling, told Rudd, "I don't like you," referencing Rudd's past remarks, to which Rudd promptly apologized. The moment drew laughter, but it underscored Trump's sharp memory and the diplomatic tightrope that defines US-Australia relations in the Trump era. At the heart of the meeting was AUKUS, the $368 billion defense partnership under which Australia will acquire nuclear-powered submarines from the United States. Trump made it clear that he remains fully behind the pact, describing it as a cornerstone of US-Australian cooperation. "We've worked on this long and hard," Trump said. "We have the best submarines in the world and we're building a few more currently under construction, and now we're starting that process with Anthony. It's really moving along very rapidly, very well." However, in a telling moment, Navy Secretary John Phelan added a note of caution. Speaking at the start of the meeting, he said the US might clarify some ambiguities in the current AUKUS framework to improve it for all three parties. Phelan described Australia as a very important ally of ours in the Indo-Pacific and referenced the Henderson Naval Base in Fremantle, calling it critical to our ability to project power with our allies. Trump downplayed any concerns, saying the adjustments were minor details, and insisted that the program was moving full steam ahead. He praised Australia's ongoing work to build the necessary submarine infrastructure, saying they're building magnificent docking facilities. "I think their military has been very strong." In addition to AUKUS, the two leaders signed a landmark $8.5 billion critical minerals agreement, a move widely interpreted as a direct counter to China's growing dominance in rare earth exports. The deal commits both countries to contribute at least $1 billion each to support mining and processing projects across both nations. The goal is to secure reliable supplies of critical minerals like gallium, lithium, and rare earths, which are essential for electric vehicles, defense technologies, and renewable energy systems. With China threatening to restrict its exports of these materials, the agreement is seen as a strategic move to de-risk Western supply chains. Albanese hailed the signing as a really significant day, saying, "This takes the Australia-US relationship to the next level. We're just getting started." Trump echoed the sentiment, declaring, "In about a year from now, we'll have so much critical mineral and rare earths that you won't know what to do with them." The Australian government later revealed the first wave of projects to benefit from the new funding. These include the Alcoa-Sojitz gallium project at Wagerup in Western Australia, which alone could produce 10% of the world's gallium supply, and the Arafura Nolans project in the Northern Territory, projected to contribute 5% of global rare earth production. The Arafura project is backed by Gina Rinehart's Hancock Prospecting, and the Australian government has already committed $100 million in equity investment. The framework agreement between Washington and Canberra outlines mechanisms to set price floors, create investment guarantees, and deter asset sales on national security grounds. Despite the warmth of the meeting, not everything was smooth sailing. Trump sidestepped questions about reducing tariffs on Australian exports, noting, "Australia pays among the lowest tariffs." He also refrained from pressing Albanese on defense spending, a topic he had previously criticized US allies for. Instead, Trump praised Australia's infrastructure development and its commitment to building capacity for the future. Still, behind the smiles, US officials made clear that clarity and accountability in AUKUS remain high priorities. Washington wants to ensure that technology sharing and submarine construction remain transparent and fully aligned with US national security protocols. The renewed strength of the US-Australia alliance underlines Washington's determination to maintain its strategic dominance in the Indo-Pacific, especially as tensions rise with China over Taiwan and the South China Sea. For Australia, it's a major affirmation of its place as a pillar of Western defense strategy in the region. Albanese's outreach to Trump represents a pragmatic shift, one that places economic security and defense cooperation at the core of Australia's foreign policy. Trump, in turn, sees Australia as one of America's most reliable allies, calling it a great nation and a great partner. The White House meeting between Donald Trump and Anthony Albanese marks more than just another diplomatic handshake. It signals a new phase in US-Australia relations, one defined by military ambition, mineral security, and mutual dependence in an increasingly unstable world. Trump's endorsement of AUKUS, coupled with the $8.5 billion rare earths deal, reaffirms Washington's strategic pivot toward the Indo-Pacific, but also highlights the fine print and ambiguities that could still shape the alliance's future. As both nations push forward, the message from the Oval Office is clear. The US-Australia partnership is strong, resilient, and deeply strategic, but never without complexity.